What's going on YouTube? We have the 2012 Aprilia Rsv4 in front of me, and today we're going to be installing a tidy rear taillight, getting rid of the nasty license plate holder, those big ugly stock signals, and just cleaning up the tail section of the bike. And I'm just going to show you how easy these things are to install. There's really not much to it, so let's get into the video. These Aprilias are such a nice looking bike, and they have a really small tail section. And then they have this big ugly thing on the back. Like, what is this? It's horrible. The license plate bracket and signals are basically bigger than the whole rear subframe. It's crazy. So we're gonna take that off and throw it in the garbage where it belongs. And then we have this smoked one going back on. As far as these lights go, they're pretty simple. You're gonna have your factory plug for the tail light itself. And then you just have to splice in 2 single wires for your signals. And then it'll be all integrated and you won't have to worry about anything. It's gonna look nice and slick. Check out all that storage, holy. So not much room at all under here, but there's only a couple wires. Here's our main connector. And there might be one other connector too. But let's pop this big assembly off and just see what comes out with it. Just a couple of Phillips screws and it should pop right off. So this big ugly thing here, just one connector going through the tail, 4-pin. And then our tail light is this little guy here. So we have the tail section off. It's a little bit tighter than I thought it was gonna be. So we had to pop the seat off, just 2 Allen keys here. We are gonna have to take this plastic trim off to access a couple of the fasteners for the rear tail light. They are down by the subframe here somewhere, but just a couple more Allen keys here and at the tail, and this plastic should pop off. So I just bought this bike this season, and I was pleasantly surprised. I have a high-end lithium-ion battery. Nice upgrade, owner didn't even tell me about. It's nice finding bike goodies. I have a lithium-ion battery in my Crossplane and they work amazing. Best battery for sure. And Shorea is a great brand name too. All right, so a few extra fasteners here. I ended up taking this side trim piece out and it slides forward. And then there's a couple hiding fasteners on this tail piece. So one on the side there, a couple here, and a couple at the back. And then this kind of just peels right off. And we can see these little guys on the side are for the tail light. And I didn't realize you can split this tail piece into 2 sections. This little guy comes right off. So that's kind of cool, because we can get our one fastener there, and it's kind of easy to flex this guy out of the way and just get our fastener on that side, and then we don't have to mess with the seat cable. So we pop both lights out here, sitting on the bench. We just have to transfer over these little rubber grommets. The center collar just kind of pushes out. And then you can just fish these grommets out of here. Walk the rubber in first. And then push this guy in last. So we've got the grommets swapped over here. We're plugged in. Still have to do our signals, but let's make sure this thing works. Oh man, she is looking good. Let's see if I can hit the brake here. So that's working so far. Let's get the signals wired up. I'm gonna show you a little trick that I like to do. So this big ugly tail piece that no one's ever gonna use again, I'm gonna cut the pigtail off. Now with this pigtail, we're gonna plug it back into the bike's factory harness here. So then we're not gonna be damaging any circuits on the bike side. And if you ever did want to replace that tail piece, you could probably get one for free because nobody ever wants to use those things again. And now we can splice in and solder our connections to the piece we just cut. And it's going to be a nice clean install. So keys on, we got the signal on, and we are just going to take our taillight and back probe each side until we see what circuits we're going to need. So we're going to do that one on the green circuit. So that was our left. Now let's go right. Let's take our right side. Let's try the yellow. That's not the right circuit because we're just staying illuminated. And we want it to flash. Let's try the red. And there we're flashing. So we're going to wire these in diagonal. Right circuit to the red and left circuit to the green. Super simple. If you don't want the circuits to hyper flash, they do come with these 5 ohm resistors. And you can put this in line between the one circuit and the individual signal on each side. And that'll get rid of the burnt out bulb on the cluster message. So I got it all connected up here. Just use a little bit of tape, tuck these resistors nice and tight together so I can slip it in the tail of the bike and they don't rattle around too much. And now the nice part about using this factory connector, if you ever want to remove the taillight, it's not hardwired, so you can still disconnect it nice and easy and slick. And that's really all there is to it. We're going to start reassembling the bike. So we got everything back together, and just look at how good this tail section is now. It's so sleek and modern. It made a huge difference. I don't have to be embarrassed riding this thing around anymore. Completely changed the look of the whole bike. And if you guys were wondering, this is just a cheaper light off Amazon. It was only about 80 or 90 bucks, somewhere in there. So it's really good value for what you get. Definitely worth it. And I'm impressed with it so far. The tail section's nice and tidy. You wouldn't even really know it's aftermarket. There are a couple of resistors down in there. If you don't want to wire in those resistors in an older bike, it really doesn't matter because the older bikes don't tell you if you have a burnt out bulb, so you won't have an error message in the cluster. The only reason I put them in this bike is because a light pops up in the dash saying you have a burnt out bulb, and it's kind of annoying. On older bikes like this R6, I didn't wire in any resistors. The lights flash a little faster, but it really doesn't bother me. You don't notice it when you're on a bike. It's not like in a vehicle where you can hear the signal hyper flash. All the old nasty parts we took off. And here's a look at the taillight, all said and done. So this is just the running light. We're gonna hit the brake. It was pretty bright actually. And let's do a signal. There's the left signal. There's the right. Yeah, looking pretty good. And that's with the key off, so nice blacked out look. All I have left is to put on a license plate bracket and we are good to go. So hopefully you got some value out of this video. This is a job pretty much anyone can take on at home, and I think it's a must-have on pretty much any crotch rocket. Cleans up the entire look of the bike, gets rid of a lot of clutter, and is just better in every way. That aftermarket taillight is still really visible even though it's smoked. So I don't think you're compromising on any safety or anything like that. Like always, if you guys have any questions, you can comment below. I try and answer most of them within a timely manner. And the next few videos of this bike are gonna be some action shots, so you guys can actually hear this V4 sing. Sounds amazing. So stay tuned for that. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.